Welcome to the North Carolina A&T Men's Basketball Coaches Show with head coach Will Jones. Here's your host, Spencer Turkin.
Welcome into the first North Carolina A&T Men's Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Spencer Turkin, the voice of the Aggies, joined by the head coach Will Jones, as North Carolina A&T has gotten off to a phenomenal start in Big South play, 2-0 in the conference. A home win in the first ever Big South Conference game at the Corbett Sports Center, and then taking the show on the road to Radford, one of the top programs in the conference, and making sure that the Aggies got the dub. Coach, congratulations on the start. How does it feel to get off on the right foot in new territory?
Oh, man. First and foremost, man, first radio show. I'm excited about this. The pandemic's put a different spin on everything, but it's really good to talk to the fans and the alums about the program. It's really exciting to get off to the start that we have. Our motto, my motto since I've been here is a 1-0 approach, and our guys are really bought into that approach. And, as far as I'm concerned, we're a championship program with expectations to win night in and night out. And, whether we're at home or on the road, our expectation is to win. And for the first two games in Big South play, we've been able to be on the right side.
Well, Coach, we have plenty to catch up on. I know that it's been a wild start to the season for us. Cross-country trips and MTE, you name it, we have seen it. And so you mentioned championship program, and that starts with championship level players. And you have assembled a roster with a lot of new faces, and they are finally starting to gel. One of those guys that I think a lot of people were expecting a ton out of from the second he stepped on the floor was Marcus Watson. And for the most part, he has delivered in terms of points and rebounds, especially in Big South play. What is it about Marcus that makes him so special, and what is the ceiling for him?
It's scary because for Marcus, for me, he's the, out of the guys that start, he's the baby, and I always call him the baby because he is the youngest one. He's still in his first real test in terms of playing college basketball. And so every game he's learning, and he's hearing my voice in practice and in games because I'm teaching him as he's, like you said, he's doing a good job of scoring the basketball, and he's doing an even better job of rebounding now. I'm challenging him night in and night out. The ceiling for him, man, I don't know. Because he's pretty good right now.
Right, and you and I talk about how much more he can grow.
Man, he's talented, and he's just learning this college game. But even the ceiling for where he's going to be by the end of conference play, as his confidence continues to grow, is scary. So I just hopefully he continue to stay healthy and continue to take coaching.
Well, through the first two conference games, 17 points per game. 15 of 17 from the free throw line, and 10 rebounds a night. And I think the craziest part of that stat line, Coach, is actually a negative, and that is the fact that he is 1 for 8 from downtown and yet still averaging 17 points per game. When he takes the right shot selection in your mind, and it is very obvious when he does not take the right one if anybody is watching you on the sideline. When he takes those right shots and he drives to the hole and he uses his size and his strength, is there really anybody in the conference who can stop him?
Nah, not one-on-one. I'm trying to get him to realize that I think he thinks he's LeBron James. He likes that step back three, that kind of one that LeBron does. And I'm like, hey, man, listen, that stuff, it doesn't work here in college, and it's just not a good shot. But to his credit, he has tried to do what I'm asking him to do. It's some give and take. He's a really good player. I need him to be good. I need him to be confident in his game. That if he needs to take one of those shots in the clutch or for game, that he has the confidence to take it. But what we're doing right now, not just Marcus, but with this team, is teaching them those things you need to do to win. and how to increase a lead from 10 to 15 and not from 10 to 5. And that's a process that we're going through right now, and I'm pretty sure we'll continue to get better at that.
One of the things you need to do to win a basketball game is have that next man up mentality. And right now, David Beatty is exemplifying that out on the floor. Cam Langley was out with health and safety protocol measures. And for a guy who hasn't played point guard, true point guard, really, since he was at South Carolina, he came in and was able to lead your team to 2 conference victories. What does that say about your grad transfer?
Dave has been, he's been telling us, even in practice a lot that, he wants the opportunity to play point guard. And, he had an opportunity to do that through the protocols of COVID. And you're right. He's been able to get us off to a great start. The balance there, I always, you go through the non-conference schedule and you try to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what's going to be good going into league play. And in my mind, I always said that, hey, once we got the league play, I was going to go bigger. And, and so having Demetric on the wing and Marcus on the wing, and now he presents a little bit of a different dynamic as a scoring option at the point guard position, and it just gives just a little bit of a different taste than when Cam's out there. But I think once both guys are back in tip-top shape and we're rolling, I mean, Cam and Dave at the point guard spot in conference play is going to be a really, really good option for us.
Well, you mentioned size, and you have a ton of it littered throughout your roster. 2 guys that started the other day on the 4 and the 5, Justin Watley and Colin Smith. I mean, you talk about 2 guys who I don't think that combined there's a bigger 4-5 combo in the league.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, just think about, everybody who's starting in that starting lineup the last 2 games are transfers. That played in bigger leagues than the Big South and have experienced in those leagues. And so Justin Watley, him and Colin both played in the American League at East Carolina and Central Florida, and Demetric Horton at the Horizon League. Marcus Watson, the Big 12 and the WAC conference, and then David Beatty, who obviously played in SEC and the Atlantic 10. And so those guys are talent-wise. Their recruiting says, hey, they played in bigger leagues than the Big South. And I think over the first 2 games, just the versatility of the size down low has given our opponents an issue, especially on the defensive end, because it's tough to score inside on us.
It certainly is. And I think a lot of people are expecting it to get even tougher. The other day when we were up at Radford, there was a number 31 sighting out on the floor. Duncan Powell was warming up with the squad. He was in uniform, your 4-star recruit out of high school. What is the latest with Duncan? I know that a lot of people have already seen his Bojangles NIL commercial, and they want to see him dunking on the rim instead of sitting on the rim.
Yeah, Duncan is, we have all these young guys with all this energy running around the program, man. And Duncan's he's the next one, man. He's just running around like he's bouncing off the wall, but he's excited to be doing basketball stuff. Every day he gets a little bit closer to hitting the floor. Hopefully through, the blessings of his surgeon and our training staff that have done an unbelievable job and just making sure we keep Duncan's best interests at hand. And that's what it is, keeping his best interests at hand before we set him back out on the court to play. But, I'm hoping that, sooner than later, no timetable of like hard dates or anything, but sooner than later, hopefully that we can add him to that mix and have another guy come off the bench to help us really, man, just make teams' life, really tough, man, when we're just bringing in guys that can play coming off the bench.
Oh, Coach, 2 other newcomers that you mentioned with some of these guys bouncing off the walls. You have Jalen Jackson, who comes in and has a double-double in his debut against Mid-Atlantic Christian. He's your serious freshman. He's your dog that's going to go out there and sniff out the basketball. And then you have Chase McDuffie, who travels with us, who is really the team jokester. I mean, he is the guy that keeps the locker room light. Is that really the reason that at this point you're bringing him around to keep everybody light and just trying to keep the locker room in a good place?
Yeah, I mean, Chase is his energy, man. Him and Kyle Duke, they're like twin brothers, man. They got all the jokes and the energy, and they're the ones that they really bring that energy to the guys that's playing every day. And sometimes when they don't want to practice hard, they make them practice hard. So that's a good thing, man. And yeah, Jalen, he was able to come off. I took him. I initially was going to redshirt Jalen, but rebounding was something that I identified as an issue for us. And in practice every day, I could see this young man rebounding the basketball, going to get the rebound, kind of like a Ron Jackson type energy. And after the Howard game, I made a decision that there were some minutes that Jalen could get in terms of what he can bring to the table. And he has not disappointed. It really makes me and the staff really appreciate what he is able to do. We've identified a really good kid in recruiting, and he's got a heck of a future in front of him too.
Well, attention Aggie fans, if alcohol is part of your game day activity, make sure you don't get behind the wheel of a vehicle. There are more ways than ever to get home safely. Call a friend, a cab, take a bus, or use an app to get you a ride home. The Governor's Highway Safety Program reminds you, don't drink and drive. Well, Coach, real quick before we go ahead and wrap up this segment and we finish up talking about some of the new personnel that's on your squad, Demetric Horton, is there ever such thing as a red light when it comes to a three-pointer?
Hey, man, listen. This kid lives in the gym, sleeps in the gym, wakes up in the gym. What we see him doing on game night, we see him do it in practice. We have seen him do it in inter-squad scrimmages. This young man has ice in his veins. He can shoot the basketball. Again, another kid that I had to teach about winning. What's winning? You know what I mean? He thinks he can make every shot. And again, teaching him what's winning. And I think these first two conference games, man, he has delivered. He has played a solid game, and he has answered the bell every time we've called his name. And I think, man, he's playing at the highest level, in conference play right now in terms of scoring that basketball. His stats for the weekend was big time, and in my eyes should have won the Big South Player of the Week.
They sure were. 19.5 points per game, 15 of 20 from the field, 5 of 7 from downtown, 4 of 6 from the line, and 2.5 rebounds a night. And how about this one, Coach? He's shooting 41% from downtown on the season. Well, plenty more coming up in the North Carolina A&T Men's Basketball Coaches Show. We're going to go ahead and talk about what the future holds for the Aggies. There are a ton of new programs that are coming to Club Corbett, the latest rankings in KenPom for the home court advantage, and much, much more. It's all coming up on the other side of this timeout. You're tuned in to the North Carolina A&T Men's Basketball Coaches Show on the Aggie Sports Network. Welcome back to the North Carolina A&T Men's Basketball Coaches Show, powered by Tobacco Road Sports Radio. I'm your host, Spencer Turkin, the voice of the Aggies, joined by the head man, Will Jones, as we continue on in the Big South. Coach, let's go ahead and rewind for a quick second. The non-conference schedule that you set up was absolutely brutal. You tested the guys night in and night out. You have a team in Wake Forest that went ahead and it really played some solid basketball here through the beginning part of the ACC. UCF beats Michigan out of the Big Ten. USF, a team that your squad should have probably beaten if you and I are being completely honest here on the program, and a few other games that you felt like were really those turning points in the season where you could teach your guys the difference between a win and a loss. Did the non-conference slate do what you wanted?
Going into the non-conference schedule, again, like we said, there were a couple of games that I had penciled down as wins. And, UNCG, Jacksonville for sure, Those games I penciled down as wins. But when you start to look at it a little bit in terms of what we were trying to get done, this team had to learn how to win. So that's another thing. You can get lucky sometimes. You can be the better team on one night, but, you have to learn how to win. And but again, you look at all the teams that we've played, all the teams that we've played are winning teams. Winning teams. Again, South Florida might have the worst record out of everybody, but again, UNCG is competing at the top half in their league. Jacksonville is in first place in the Atlantic Sun. East Tennessee State had been one of the top 25 mid-major programs ranking in the country when we played them. We played some solid competition. Wake Forest had been undefeated in the ACC at that point in time. UCF went to Michigan 2 games after we played them and beat those guys. And so we're playing really good competition. And this year we competed in every game. And I would say but 2 had a chance with 10 minutes left in the game to win the game. And that told me a lot about this group, that we had some fight, but I also knew that we still have a long way to go in terms of this team reaching that ultimate potential. And I think we're on the move trying to get there.
Well, Coach, no nights off in the Big South. This is a top to bottom league, tons of talent all across the board. Every team has a couple of guys that are legitimate first and second team players in the conference. You've been through this before. You have gone through this as an assistant coach in this league. What is it like night in and night out trying to prepare for the competition in the Big South?
This league is as intense of a league that you can be around. They're going to be really knockdown, drag out games in this league. And if you look at the records, everybody's good at home. Everybody's trying to protect home court. The better teams historically are able to win on the road. And, again, that win at Radford for our program is a huge win. That's one of the programs that nobody likes to go to Radford, Virginia and play basketball. All right. That's almost like a L as soon as you leave your campus. And to be able to get that win early, this team is going to only help us continue to gain more confidence. But remember, last year, this program, our theme was winning on the road. Winning on the road last year was the theme of this program. And we have a lot of guys back on this team that remember those steps that we take to win on the road. And, again, East Tennessee State's game was a huge game. It gave us a real conference-like feel that we were able to go to Johnson City, Tennessee, another tough place to win, and get the job done. So we had confidence going into Radford that we could win.
And that was coming off of a loss at UCF. So a bounce back on the road and able to get the job done. Coach, when you think about the Big South, you talk about the home records. I don't know of anybody in the Big South, and I do know this as a fact, has a 28-game conference home winning streak that they are trying to protect. And that is exactly what your team has right now at Club Corbett. At some point, I think we're going to have to get Young Jock to make an appearance at Club Corbett.
Young Jock, come on down.
It is a home atmosphere unlike any other at this point. The number 7 home court advantage, according to KenPom.com. That, of course, the latest ranking in the home court rating advantages. When you hear that, 7th best home court advantage, not in mid-major basketball, but in the country, period. What does that mean to you, and what does that mean about Aggie fans?
Listen, Club Corbett, and just like, I listen to the old alumni, they say, hey, it's been a club, and I believe them. This tradition that we have in basketball at A&T is second to none. It's second to none. The atmosphere that we have, that we give to the fans, the product on the floor, it's second to none. And when it's recorded by KenPom, everybody believes in KenPom It's like Kim Bombs, everybody's best friend. You know what I mean? And to go from 8 to 7, it definitely sees that they're paying attention. And, it's one of those deals where, man, the Presbyterian game, our backs were against the wall. We had guys out. And as a head coach, I told the team, there's no excuse. I don't care who's playing, who's dressing out. The bottom line is we have to win this game. We have too much on the line, too much tradition, too much everything for Presbyterian to come in at our gym to win. And for us to have a chance to win this game, everybody had to put on their hard hats and go out there and grind this thing out. And I was proud of the guys.
Well, Coach, a familiar foe comes to town on Wednesday as Hampton, former MEAC rival, comes to Club Corbett. What are you expecting out of the Pirates? I mean, you know Buck Joyner very well, and a lot of familiar faces on that team. Some transfers from Del State, Howard. I mean, this is like an old MEAC block party going on in Club Corbett.
Well, that's not a good thing for Hampton because Pinky Wiley understands that it's no winning in Club Corbett. Pinky Wiley got nightmares from coming to Club Corbett when he was at Del State. So he's telling the guys, hey, listen, man, we got to be ready when we go into Greensboro, man. But I mean, Coach is coming to town, man. I know he's probably excited. The first time he's been back in 4 years to Greensboro to play A&T. First time in 4 years that we've played Hampton. And so we got to be ready for a tough team coming in here, trying to get off to a good start for them. They played their first conference game last Saturday, so I think we'll be their second game. But for us, it's a 1-0 mentality again. And we've been preparing. We started preparing for them today to try to get the job done.
Coach, I know that a few years ago when Club Corbett was first getting started, I heard Kevin Nickelberry at the time, the Howard coach, came over and said to me, how am I supposed to win here? And this was before the game. He says, how am I supposed to win in here? And everybody looks at him and says, you're not supposed to. What's the craziest thing you've heard an opposing coach say about Club Corbett?
I mean, it's all on the road. We're on the road recruiting. And, people are asking questions and, what's up? What's the deal with Club Corbett, man? And, the kids are crazy, the fans, the band, the cheerleaders, and, the atmosphere. And, I've heard a conference, one of the conference teams, their coaches showed them film actually of what it looks like to play in Club Corbett. So their guys can kind of get ready for it. It's a different feel for any team that's going to play us at home in the Big South. They really haven't seen anything like that. And hopefully by the time they get used to it, we'll have a really nice lead and kind of get them off balance. But it's a tough place to play, man. It's second to none. And I'm glad that we have that opportunity to play there.
Coach, we always appreciate the time with you. We're looking forward to spending some more time with you here on the North Carolina A&T Men's Basketball Coaches Show. It's going to be fun recapping the action, talking about what's going on around the Aggie program and sharing with fans and really those who maybe aren't familiar with Club Corbett and North Carolina A&T Men's Basketball, what Aggie pride is really all about and that they should get involved.
Listen, we need everybody that's going to check this Coaches Show out this week. We play Hampton on Wednesday. We need a sellout. We need the Big South to see what Club Corbett looks like. Our opportunity to play HBCU in the Big South in Hampton, another really good program. We need to show Hampton and the Big South what it looks like in Club Corbett. Get your masks, get your protocols, get your vaccination cards ready. Let's get it done on Wednesday and go 3-0 in the Big South Conference.
Coach Jones, always appreciate the time. We will talk to you on the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina pregame show on the Aggie Sports Network on Wednesday evening. That'll do it for us here on the Aggie Sports Network. For the head coach, Will Jones, and Desmond Johnson back in the studio, I'm Spencer Turkin, the voice of the Aggies, saying so long till Wednesday. We'll talk to you from Club Corbett.